Imagine the shock rippling through Washington as one of the most outspoken figures from the Trump era faces the music. John Bolton, the former National Security Advisor, has just surrendered to federal authorities amid explosive charges of mishandling top-secret documents. If you're wondering how a high-profile insider like him could end up in this spot, stick around. We'll break it all down step by step, in a move that underscores the gravity of the situation. Bolton handed himself over to officials on Friday following a federal grand jury's indictment. This stems from an ongoing probe into how he allegedly dealt with sensitive, classified information after wrapping up his role in Donald Trump's first administration. For those new to this, classified info basically means government secrets that, if leaked, could harm national security, like details on military plans or spy operations. Bolton, who advised on critical US foreign policy decisions during his 2018 to 2019 tenure, was spotted by reporters driving away from his Bethesda, Maryland home in a sleek black SUV that morning. He arrived at the U.S. District Court in Greenbelt, Maryland, shortly after 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time for his first court hearing, marking the start of what could be a lengthy legal battle. At the heart of the case, prosecutors are zeroing in on whether Bolton kept classified materials he shouldn't have after leaving the White House. He's facing a hefty list of accusations. 8 counts related to sharing national defense information and 10 more for illegally holding onto it. To put this in perspective, national defense information includes anything that could tip off enemies about US strategies. And mishandling it isn't just a paperwork error. It's a potential threat to lives and alliances. The formal charges, unsealed from the US District Court for the District of Maryland, paint a detailed picture. They claim Bolton used his personal email or a private messaging app to pass along documents marked top secret, the highest level of classification, reserved for the most critical secrets. These files supposedly contained intel on impending attacks, insights into hostile nations, and delicate diplomatic ties with other countries. For example, imagine documents outlining a potential cyber threat from a rival power. Leaking those could alert the wrong people and spark real-world chaos. But it doesn't stop there. The indictment also accuses Bolton of stashing these sensitive papers right in his own home. Among them, reports on the inner workings of an adversary's leadership and specifics on how US intelligence sources gather data about foreign threats. Retaining such items outside secure channels is a big no-no, as it risks unauthorized eyes getting a peek. Think hackers, burglars, or even curious family members. Bolton fired back forcefully the day before, in a statement denying any misconduct and labeling the whole thing as pure political payback. He pointed the finger at Trump, saying the former president went after him hard during his White House days, and ramped it up when Bolton's tell-all book threatened to drop bombshells before the 2020 vote. I've now joined the ranks of those targeted by a twisted use of the Justice Department against anyone Trump sees as an enemy, Bolton declared. These aren't legitimate charges. They're a deliberate twist of old facts or ignored ones, all to silence critics and control the narrative around his actions. And this is the part most people miss. Bolton's book, The Room Where It Happened, was a lightning rod, spilling insider stories that painted Trump in a harsh light. Could this indictment be the ultimate revenge play? His lawyer, Abby Lowell, echoed the innocence plea, insisting Bolton followed the rules to the letter. This story goes back years. Investigators looked into it and closed the book long ago. Lowell explained in his own release. He highlighted that the so-called evidence revolves around snippets from Bolton's personal journals spanning his 45 years in public service. These notes, unclassified, shared only with close family, and on the FBI's radar since 2021. No red flags raised back then. But here's where it gets controversial. This isn't an isolated incident. The Justice Department has recently turned the spotlight on other vocal Trump opponents, like New York AG Letitia James and ex-FBI head James Comey. James faces charges for allegedly fibbing about a Virginia property being her secondary home to snag better loan rates, saving her a modest $50 monthly, but enough to trigger fraud claims. Comey, meanwhile, is accused of lying to Congress and obstructing an investigation tied to a 2020 media leak. Both have pleaded not guilty, decrying the cases as smears. Is there a pattern here of the DOJ being weaponized against critics, or are these just overdue reckonings for ethical lapses? It's a question that's dividing opinions big time. As this drama unfolds, one can't help but wonder, in a polarized political landscape, how do we separate legitimate accountability from targeted vendettas? Do you believe Bolton's charges are driven by politics rather than justice? Or is it time for stricter rules on handling secrets post-White House? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's spark a real discussion on what this means for our democracy. This report draws from reliable sources, including court documents and on-the-ground reporting. Contributing to this piece, Michael Cosnar, who covers the Justice Department for NBC News as a dedicated producer. Chloe Atkins, part of NBC News' National Security and Law team, reporting from New York. Victoria Ebner, a Washington, D.C.-based researcher for NBC News. Peter Alexander, NBC News chief White House correspondent. Rebecca Shabard, a politics reporter stationed in Washington for NBC News.